The camera captured a blurred image, a figure on the floor, and blood. It kept recording. No one stopped it. What it captured that day would become some of the most disturbing evidence in a modern American murder case. It didn't start that way. It started in a conference hall in Las Vegas. Two people met, and something clicked. Fast. The kind of connection people talk themselves into. But from the outside, his friends started seeing some red flags. They said something more than once. It didn't matter. This is the story of Travis Alexander and how something that looked like love slowly became something else. Mesa, Arizona, June 2008. A suburb just east of Phoenix. Good neighborhoods, neat cul-de-sacs where people wave to each other and watch out for each other's houses. Travis Alexander was 30 years old, a motivational speaker, a salesman, a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. People who knew him used words like magnetic, driven, funny, the kind of guy who made a room feel bigger just by walking into it. On the evening of June 9th, 2008, a group of his friends wanted to check on him. He had missed a conference call. He wasn't answering his phone. He hadn't responded to anyone in days. His friend Chris later recalled leaving him a voicemail that night, trying to sound casual, trying not to panic. T-Dog, you better be dead, bro. A joke, the kind of thing you say when you're trying to convince yourself everything is fine. It wasn't. They entered the house at 10:27 p.m., and they found him in the shower, 5 days after he died. The 911 call went out immediately, and even in that first call, before the investigation had even begun, a name came up, an ex-girlfriend, one they believed had been stalking him. Some relationships don't end when they're supposed to. They stretch into places they don't belong. They blur lines that should be clear. They pull people back, even when those people are trying to move forward. And sometimes, when the people around you see something you can't or won't, the warning doesn't land in time. I'm Justin Luther, and these are the Karma Case Files. Before we go anywhere near June 4th, you have to understand who Travis was. Travis Victor Alexander was born on July 28, 1977, in Riverside, California. And from the very beginning, his life was hard in ways most people never talk about. His parents were drug addicts. He had 7 siblings, 8 kids in a house where stability was not the word you would use. Travis once wrote about his childhood in a personal blog, and what he described was not a home, it was survival. He wrote about being 6 years old, screaming as loud as he could for his grandmother to come get him. Screaming as his mother woke up just long enough to hit him for making noise before going back to sleep. And then she came, his grandmother. She showed up that evening, and she took him. In that moment, Travis decided there was a God. By the time he was 11, he and his siblings had moved in with their grandparents. What Travis did with that beginning is the part that matters. He didn't disappear into it. He built something different. He became a motivational speaker. He worked in sales for a company called Prepaid Legal Services, later known as Legal Shield, a network marketing company that gave him the ability to travel, to speak, to inspire people in conference rooms and conference centers across the country. He spoke about perseverance, about choosing to rise, about what you can make of a life that didn't give you anything easy. And people believed him because he actually lived it. He was deeply involved in his Mormon faith, the faith his grandmother introduced him to, and it gave him structure, community, and purpose. He had friends who loved him, a social circle that was tight and loyal, dreams of getting married, starting a family, building the kind of home he never had as a child. One friend described him like this: Travis loved to take adventures and do different things. He was funny. He was the kind of person who made you feel like you were the most interesting person in the room. That was Travis Alexander. That's who walked into a conference hall in Las Vegas in September of 2006. And that's who didn't make it out of his bathroom in June of 2008. Jodi Arias had a childhood that looked different from Travis's, more stable on the surface. 2 parents, a middle-class home, a family that seemed fine. At trial, Jodi would claim her parents physically abused her. Her parents denied it. Her mother, in interviews, described Jodi's childhood as normal. Her father, speaking to investigators separately, said Jodi had mental health issues, that she might be bipolar, and that she hadn't been honest with them since they caught her growing marijuana at age 14. 2 versions, same family. What isn't disputed, Jodi was bright, artistic, and restless. She dropped out of high school in the 11th grade, got her GED, moved around, waitress, photographer, odd jobs. She was beautiful, charming, quick to adapt to whoever she was around, and she had a pattern of immersing herself, fully, completely, in the world of whatever man she was with. She tried different belief systems, following the lead of the man she was with at the time. She was adaptable in ways that, looking back, say something. In 2002, she met a man named Daryl. They were together for 4 years. They bought a house together. And then, in the fall of 2006, she went to a PPL conference in Las Vegas. And that's when she met Travis. September 2006, a conference hall, hundreds of people. By every account, the connection was immediate. Friends said he was dazzled by her looks, by the ease of the conversation, by the way she seemed to fit into his world without effort. And Jodi, within days of meeting him, she ended her 4-year relationship with Daryl, just like that. By November 2006, just 2 months after they met, Jodi was baptized in the Mormon faith. Travis baptized her himself. She converted to his religion 2 months in, before they were ever officially dating. Later, she would describe the experience as transcendent. It was emotional, it was spiritual, it was powerful. Like everything just comes right into alignment and nothing can go wrong. Those were her words. Travis, it seems, was less certain about what was happening, because there was a contradiction at the center of this relationship from the very beginning. Travis was a devout Mormon. Premarital sex was forbidden in his faith. Marriage was supposed to come first. And that conflict between his faith and what was happening never went away. According to people close to him, Travis felt guilt about it. Deep guilt. One journalist who covered the case extensively put it plainly. Travis wanted to marry a virgin, a Mormon woman, and by having sex with him, Jodi had eliminated herself as ever being marriage potential for Travis. It explains why this relationship could never quite find solid ground. He cared for her, that was clear. He wrote to friends that she was amazing, but he also knew, somewhere in himself, that she wasn't who he saw himself with long term. And that gap between what he said and what he believed is where the trouble started. They officially began dating in February 2007. Jodi moved to Mesa, Arizona, Travis's city, to be closer to him. And that's when people in Travis's life started to notice things. Small things at first, the kind of things that are easy to explain away. Jodi had to sit next to him constantly. She didn't like it when he talked to other women. She needed everyone around them to know they were together. They told Travis multiple times. They expressed their concerns. He brushed them off. Love, or something that feels like love, can make it very hard to hear what people are telling you. But the things they were seeing weren't small. Jodi was going through his phone, monitoring his social media, forwarding his private emails to herself. She would follow him to the bathroom at social gatherings and wait outside the door. She listened to his conversations. She showed up at his house unannounced, sometimes entering through the garage, sometimes, reportedly, through the pet door. His friend Sky told him, "Travis, I'm afraid we're going to find you chopped up in her freezer." She was trying to be dramatic, trying to shake him. She wasn't wrong about the danger. She was just wrong about the method. The relationship officially ended in the summer of 2007, less than 6 months after it officially began. Travis started dating other women. One of them, a woman named Lisa, became a significant relationship for a while. And that's when the behavior escalated. Someone started showing up outside Lisa's home, knocking on doors and windows, then disappearing into the dark. Travis's tires were slashed twice. The second time, he actually called the police. He never told the officers who he suspected, but his friends knew, and he knew. He confronted Jodi. She denied it. And here's where it gets complicated, because despite all of it, Travis and Jodi never fully stopped communicating. They were broken up, but the calls continued, the texts continued, the visits continued. One of his friends described it as a cycle, a pattern that neither of them could quite break. And Travis's friends were bewildered, frustrated, because on one hand, Travis was telling them he was afraid of her, that she was a stalker, that he wanted to move on, and on the other hand, he kept letting her back in. Travis was not a naive man. He was not unaware. He was human, and humans don't always make the choices that keep them safe. By April 2008, something shifted. Jodi moved back to California, back to her grandparents' home about 15 hours from Mesa. Travis was relieved. His friend Sky remembers him saying, "I'm getting my life back. Like, this is a whole new start. She's gone." He had his eye on someone new, a woman from his Mormon community named Mimi. He had a work trip coming up, a company retreat in Cancun, Mexico, June 10th. He had originally invited Jodi, but in April, the same month she left, he changed his mind. He invited Mimi instead. That detail matters, because what happened next suggests that detail mattered to Jodi too. In May 2008, Jodi's grandparents reported a burglary at their home. Among the items taken, a handgun. The prosecution would later argue that Jodi staged the burglary herself, that she took the gun, that she needed it. Also in May, she called Daryl, the one she had left for Travis. She asked to borrow 2 5-gallon gas cans. She wouldn't say why. He gave them to her. On June 2nd, Jodi rented a car, but not near her grandparents' home. She drove 90 miles south to rent it from a different location. When the rental agent offered her a red car, she declined. She wanted something that wouldn't stand out. She asked for a car that was, in her words, not loud in color. She rented a white Ford Focus. On June 3rd, the day before Travis was murdered, she stopped to pick up the gas cans from Daryl. She bought additional gasoline at multiple gas stations, purchasing gas at one station and then again at a different one just 10 minutes later. The prosecution's argument: she didn't want to stop for gas in Arizona. She didn't want a single transaction placing her anywhere near Mesa. She also dyed her hair that day, from blonde to dark brown. Travis's neighbors knew her blonde hair, knew her car. She'd been at his house almost daily during the months she lived in Mesa. The prosecution would argue every one of those steps was deliberate, methodical, planned. Her phone, which she had been using constantly up to that point, was turned off when she crossed the Arizona border. It stayed off the entire time she was in Mesa. It came back on when she was almost out of Arizona. She left no digital trace, no GPS ping, no cell tower record. From a purely logistical standpoint, these were not the actions of someone making a spontaneous visit. We don't know exactly what time Jodi arrived at Travis's home. We know what the camera tells us. The digital camera, a Sony that Travis had recently purchased, captured a sequence of photos throughout that afternoon. Images of them both, some intimate, ordinary moments, smiles. At 5:29 p.m., Travis was in the shower. The camera was pointed at him. He was alive. By 5:32, the camera had captured something else. A blurred image, a figure on the ground, blood visible in the image. In the foreground, a leg, a foot, Jodi's foot. What happened in those 3 minutes became the central question of a trial that captivated the entire country. What the medical examiner found was this: 27 stab wounds, a gunshot wound to the forehead, and a cut across his throat, so deep it was described as near decapitation. He was 30 years old. After it was over, Jodi tried to clean it up. She put the camera, with its memory card still inside, in the washing machine. She washed the bedding. She tried to remove the blood. Then she left. She drove north, into Nevada, toward Utah. That night, at 11:48 p.m., she called Travis's phone from 45 miles north of Kingman, Arizona, and she left a voicemail, as if she was checking in on him, as if she hadn't just left him there. The next day, June 5th, she arrived at the home of Ryan Burns in West Jordan, Utah, a man she had been talking to, someone new. Burns later testified that she seemed completely calm, friendly, normal. He noticed she had cuts on her hands. She told him she'd cut herself working at a restaurant. He also noticed her hair. It was dark brown now, different from what he had seen before. She stayed, attended meetings with him, left on June 6th, and then she called Travis's phone again. Multiple voicemails, asking where he was, acting worried. For 5 days, she called a dead man's phone. On June 9th, when his friends broke in and found him, the name Jodi Arias was in the first 911 call. Investigators moved quickly. The camera they found in the washing machine, damaged but not destroyed, the memory card intact. When they pulled the images, they had everything they needed. Photos of the two of them, time-stamped through the afternoon, the last image of Travis Alexander alive, and the accidental image taken in the moment of the attack. In the hallway, a bloody palm print. DNA analysis confirmed the blood belonged to both Travis and Jodi. She had been there. The camera proved it. Her blood proved it. When detectives interviewed her, Jodi denied being in Mesa. She said the last time she'd seen Travis was in April. They showed her the photos. She changed her story. Two intruders, she said. They broke in. They attacked Travis. They let her go. Investigators didn't believe it. She was arrested on July 15, 2008. Officers noted she appeared to be preparing to leave. Among the items in her room, 2 knives and boxes of her books, ammunition in her suitcase. Let's stop here for a moment, because looking at the messages, the timeline, the way this unfolded, I don't think Travis fully understood how serious this had become. I think he saw it as complicated, emotional, difficult, but ultimately manageable. Something he could step away from, something that would eventually fade. But I don't think that was the reality, because this wasn't two people slowly drifting apart. This was one person trying to move on, and the other unwilling or unable to accept it. In that kind of imbalance, it doesn't resolve quietly. It builds. It distorts things. It changes how people interpret rejection, how they respond to it, until eventually it stops being about the relationship at all. And by the time it reaches that point, you're no longer dealing with something simple. But that's not what a jury is there to decide. Because once this enters a courtroom, everything comes down to one thing: what can actually be proven. The trial of Jodi Arias began in January 2013, nearly 5 years after Travis Alexander's death. It became one of the most watched trials in American history. But beneath the spectacle, there was a real question being asked. The prosecution argued premeditation. They laid out every step: the borrowed gas cans, the rented car, the dyed hair, the phone turned off at the state line, the staged burglary, the stolen gun. A plan, they said, carefully constructed, designed to get her to Travis Alexander without leaving a trace. The defense told a different story. Jodi took the stand. She testified for 18 days. She said Travis abused her, emotionally and physically. She said he was a sexual deviant who had manipulated her. She said that on June 4th, he attacked her, and she acted in self-defense. The prosecution dismantled the testimony piece by piece. The jury deliberated. Jodi Arias was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This is Karma Case File number 6. Travis Alexander came from nothing. He built something real, a future he was working toward. And he had a blind spot. Not weakness, not stupidity, just human. The kind that happens when a connection gets too tangled to see clearly. His friends saw it. They said it more than once. It just didn't land in time. Because karma doesn't always arrive the way we expect. Sometimes it shows up as a warning, repeated, ignored, until there's nothing left to ignore. And sometimes it's what you're left to live with. Travis Alexander deserved better. He deserved the life he was building. But the signs were there. They just weren't enough. Jodi Arias made her own choices, and now she doesn't get to walk away with them. I'm Justin Luther, and these are the Karma Case Files.